All right, we'll go ahead and get started in interest of time and keeping us on time. Feel free to start getting into your food for those who grabbed it. Right now, we're happy to have Courtney Sembler come in and join us from HubSpot. Real quick, Courtney hails from San Francisco, moved to Boston in 2015, where she works as manager for HubSpot Academy Education, dedicated to leading, inspiring, passionate inbound professor group. She was previous inbound professor focused on email marketing, GDPR, content management. She is devoted to education, environmental programs, and true email geekery. She will be talking to us about the importance of educating our customer. Please put your hands together for Courtney Sembler.
All right, how's it going? Feeling good? Everyone getting some food? Yeah, tasting good so far? I like it up here. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about education. We've heard from a few people today about content, about video, about how important it is to have those moments where you're engaging with your customers and your future customers, your prospects. And so what I want to talk to you about is education specifically. There's content, there's information, there's so many different ways in which we engage with our prospects and our customers. And one of the most impactful ways to do that is by educating them how to do something. Whatever you do, whether you have software, whether you have services, whether you're like Marcus building pools, you can educate someone on something. You are an expert in something in your business, and that's what we're going to talk about. So we're first going to talk about a little bit of our intention today. All right, already feeling the clicker moving, not at my pace. So our intention is to really summarize that value, the value of education in an inbound business, and how you can create education to help your customers and to bring in more customers as well. Because the best part about education is when you help someone do something, they tell someone else about it. So our agenda today is I'm going to talk a little bit about HubSpot Academy, who we are, what we do. We're going to talk a little bit about the inbound methodology, the flywheel, and how education can power your business. And then most importantly, we're going to go through how you can create your first educational asset, how you can create education for your customers and your prospects. And then because I'm a teacher, I love to learn, you of course have some additional resources, because I do not believe anything that we're about to talk about you can fully learn in the next 30 minutes. You're going to have to continue learning past today. And that's the great part about coming to a conference like this, is the learning starts here and it's going to continue. So let's get started. So a little bit more about me. My name is Courtney Sembler. I've worked at HubSpot for over 4 years now, and I've watched the company really continue to grow. And one of the best parts about growing at HubSpot is the education we provide for our customers. And that's what I get to do every single day. Our very passionate and inspiring inbound professors take the knowledge that we know our customers need, and we bring it to them where they are so that they can learn on the go, they can learn what they need to get their jobs done, and in a timely fashion. If you want to follow me, you want to follow HubSpot Academy, our Instagram, our Twitters are there. Find me afterwards. My email address is also at the end of this PowerPoint presentation for you to have access to. So first things first, HubSpot Academy. Who are we? What do we do, and why do we care so freaking much about education? So by a quick show of hands, how many of you consumed online education in the last 12 months? I want to see every hand in the air. I know you have your sandwich, but you can also put your hand in the air with it. Second question, has anyone engaged with HubSpot Academy? All right, a few of you, awesome. Well, for those of you who haven't, you're about to. We're about to talk about education. I hope that you walk away with being able to summarize why it's important for your business, as well as some actionable steps of how you can leave today and go and create your first educational asset for your customers. So we have a purpose on the team. It's to educate and inspire people so that we together can transform the way the world does business. This is a pretty big purpose for a small team of 18 people, but we believe that education is going to help us do this. We believe that by creating education that's inspiring, that helps people achieve their business goals, we're going to help transform the way the world is currently doing business. A quick overview, for those of you who can see a little bit of this timeline, is in 2012, we were founded as a team inside of HubSpot. HubSpot had been around for about 6 years at this time, And we realized something. Our customers wanted to know more. They loved our product, they were trying to use it, but they were getting stuck. They didn't know how to get the most ROI out of what was going on. And the best part is we knew that we could help them. So the first thing that we did was every single day, we ran 3 one-hour live trainings. We got about 15 people on a call, and we helped them understand how they could get more out of our products. We continued to scale that with the inbound methodology. We also launched certifications that not only gave someone education, but it gave them a credential to show to the world that they were knowledgeable and could apply something, which is a really key piece of education. You don't want to just to educate someone and say, hey, you know that. They want to be able to take that back into the market and say to someone else that I know how to do this. This is how we help people get jobs. This is how we help people grow, and how you can help your customers show out to the world that they know how to do something. As we've continued to scale, some of the things that we've implemented is modularizing training, really making it bite-sized, as well as long form, as well as video, webinars, workshops, worksheets, live training presentations such as this, making sure that we have all the options, because one thing about every single one of us in the room is we learn differently. We might learn similarly, but we definitely learn differently. You guys like my wire? It's hanging out here. All right. Some other things that we've done, and this is really where we are in 2019, is making sure we can scale it globally. Education is powerful, but there are people all around the world that need to be able to understand what we're doing and being able to bring that out to the global market. One thing about our education is it's 100% free. Whether you're a HubSpot customer or not, you can learn from us. And this is the power of education. We can really bring it out to anyone, anywhere. So a few examples are our HubSpot user blog, our certification courses, our lessons, as well as other videos in our learning center, and then HubSpot user groups. There's actually a HubSpot user group right here in Salt Lake City if you've never been to it. Yeah? All right, there we go. And we want to bring this education in all these different formats, because education is one of the most impactful ways to attract prospects, engage your leads, and delight your customers. Because by doing these 3 things, you're not going to only be able to grow your business, but be able to help your customers achieve their goals. Your customers have come to you for something, whether it's to buy something, to get a service, but they're coming to you for a reason. And with education, you can continue to do this and help them achieve those goals while at the same time growing your business. All right, let's talk a little bit about the inbound methodology in education. We're going to spend about 10 minutes talking about this because it's important. The inbound methodology is a framework that you can use to be able to build anything that you need for your business, and education is a huge force in the inbound methodology. So first things first, what is the inbound methodology? Well, inbound is a method of attracting, engaging, and delighting people to grow a business that provides value and builds trust. This morning, Marcus talked a lot about trust. It's really important. If you're doing something for your business that's not building trust, you're not going to create a long-lasting customer. And so as technology shifts, inbound is going to guide a company to do business in a human and helpful way. Education is one of the most easy ways to do something in a human and helpful way, because you're being able to help someone achieve their goal. There's 3 stages to the inbound methodology, probably not surprised by that: attract, engage, and delight. And at each one of these points, each one of these stages, we want to be doing something that adds force, that continues to move someone through this cycle. Because one of the most important things about the inbound methodology and the way that we're marketing and selling today is that our customers don't end when they become a customer. They don't get dropped out of this funnel and stop existing. We need to continue to help them over time. And that's why the inbound methodology is represented as a circle, because it's going to continue going. Because what HubSpot's found is that word-of-mouth referrals is the biggest growth lever for SMBs. The more your customers are talking about you and communicating with you and about you, the more and more business you're going to have. Because your customers are truly your best marketers. You've helped them, and now they're going to help you. And with education, They can market what they've learned from you. They can also help in your sales cycle by having shorter sales cycle with people because they already know what's going on. And they can be your best service people because you've now educated them on something where they can go out in the market and tell someone else and help someone else how to do that. So let's quickly take a look at each stage. The first is the attract stage. Attracting is about using your current expertise to attract people to your business, to start conversations, to create content, and get meaningful relationships with the right people. Because that's the key, the right people. There are going to be people who are fit for your business and not for your business. And with education, you can really increase the value in the attract stage by increasing the interest and knowledge of people before they connect with you. Before they even fill out a form, before they engage with you at all, if they have more knowledge, then they're going to be able to move into the engage stage and be able to answer their own questions so that you can really focus on their needs. Because in engage, you're trying to build a lasting relationship. You want to make sure that when your customer comes in, they're with you for a while, whether that's one purchase and they continue to purchase each year, whatever that may be. And so by providing insights and solutions to them and getting rid of their roadblocks and focusing on their goals, you can continue to build that lasting relationship. For HubSpot Academy, we found that customers who have engaged with Academy prior to talking to a sales rep have a shorter sales cycle, they buy with a less discount, and they actually end up closing at a faster rate because they already know some answers to their questions. They're already getting help from us, and they know what they need to do. So when they get on the phone with a sales rep or they come and talk to us, they're more knowledgeable and we're meeting in a common place. That's the power of education, is it can help you and other people come together in a common place. That's why all of us are here today. We share similar values and we're here. Now, when we move into the delight stage, delight is really where you provide the consistent, outstanding service. And education arguably can be the most important in this stage. Because once someone is a customer, their learning, their knowledge, their goals don't stop. If anything, you've helped them achieve more, and they need to continue to learn from you. So providing education in the delight stage is going to keep someone around longer. HubSpot's found that people who are engaging with HubSpot Academy education consistently actually have a higher net promoter score than any of our other customers, because they're continuing to learn from us, and they're engaging with us in a way that helps them achieve those goals. So the inbound methodology really brings a business together to empower customers so that you can attract, engage, and delight more people. And education is really the force you apply at each stage so you can attract, engage, and delight to turn your customers into your best marketers. With all of these in mind, when you look at the inbound methodology for your business, you're going to be able to use education to power all of these things. Awesome. So we've got the inbound methodology. We know we want to attract and engage people and delight our customers. We know that if we can turn them into our best marketers, then we're really going to be setting ourselves up for success. But the biggest question is, how do we do this? There's content and information everywhere in the world. How do you create education that's going to help someone learn something, take away from it, and then help you and your business grow? This is a really key difference between content and education. Education is going to help someone do something. They're going to walk away and be like, I've done this, and I now know what I'm talking about. And this is a really key difference. So what we're going to talk about here is 3 key things. There we go. When we create education for any business, we want to know the difference between education and information. We want to have some frameworks for how we create that education. And then you're actually going to create your first educational asset. Once you know why you're creating it, and the fact that you are creating education and not information, and you have a framework to do so, you can go ahead and create your first educational asset. And this is really exciting, because once we bring that out there, then you can start to see the benefits of your customers becoming your best marketers, really understanding what's going on and being able to take that into the market. So the first is the difference between education and information. Now, there's a difference between education and information. There's a difference between education and content. And there's a difference between education and videos or live training. Because education can be any of those things. It can be a video, it can be a worksheet, it can be short form, long form. Education can be anything. But it has to be helping someone do something. Information is key when, as Marcus was saying earlier, someone wants to know something. They want to know how much something costs. That's information. You're not educating someone, you're telling them something. Education is going to help them come along the journey with you. This is a quote from a HubSpot Academy learner. I'll just read it really quick. But the learning with HubSpot Academy is exceptional, which is really huge aid for me and my company. By applying program ideas, I'm able to learn how to strike the appropriate target audience, which definitely leads to overall ROI. Now, I really like this quote for a few reasons. One, I'm excited that this person is getting results. That makes me feel good, but I'm also excited that they're actually being able to achieve that. But the most important thing is that they're achieving results. They're getting more ROI with what they're learning. Information isn't going to help them get overall ROI. It might help them get started. It might help them understand what ROI is, and maybe start to set a foundation for what they can do in their business, but it's not actually going to help them achieve the ROI. That's where the education comes in. So some key differences between education and information. Education allows you to perform a skill with unaided recall. Unaided recall. That's a really important factor. Think about when you were in higher education. Maybe you went to university, maybe you went to community college, maybe you did education online. One of the things that you were probably doing was taking exams. You were doing something where you didn't have your notes. You were doing something where someone wasn't telling you or feeding you the answer. You were able to tell someone something with unaided recall. Maybe you weren't. Maybe you stuck the cheat sheet underneath your desk and you went from there. But education is important because it allows someone to do something over and over again without you having to tell them to do it again. You're teaching them a skill. There's that very old wise tale, if you want to teach a man to fish, to feed his family, you teach him how to fish, you don't give him a fish. It's definitely more eloquent than that, but you know what I'm saying. You want to be able to provide someone unaided recall, perform that skill. They also apply the learning across multiple topics and subjects. Now, this one you might be thinking, well, aren't you going to educate someone about how to do an email marketing campaign, and that would be education to help them get started? Yes. But the education they're getting about how to run an email marketing campaign is going to help them when they need to go and create a pillar page, because they're learning a skill in which is going to start to develop over time into multiple topics and subject areas. Information, on the other hand, and again, still important, allows you to resolve uncertainty and answer questions. It's very black and white. Information is, I have a question about how something costs, and the company tells me what's going on. They're not helping me understand the cost breakdown or why they've gotten to that number. They're simply just telling me it costs $15. The sandwich that you're eating costs $12, whatever it may be. Or when we take a step further, when you're thinking about how you're helping your customers to date, you might be providing information to them about, well, this is what my business does. You're not yet educating them on how your business is going to help them achieve their goals. And that's where we want to go. This is where frameworks for education can become so important, because education is hard to do. Learning is hard. I wish I could tell you that it gets easier, but it doesn't. Once we leave higher education, learning increasingly becomes more difficult because our learner is distracted. They don't know what's going on, they have a million other things to do, and learning is no longer their top priority. Which is why helping them understand the importance of the education is going to be the biggest thing that you can lead to success. Because if you help someone understand something, they're going to keep coming back for more. You're building that trust with them that they've achieved ROI with your help, and now you are the person who can continually help them. So education needs to be a few things. It needs to be relevant. It needs to be learner or learning controlled. It's based on prior experience. It's timely. It's scenario or case-based. And most importantly, it's self-motivated. As adult learners, we have a very short attention span with everything. But if we don't know why we're learning something or how it's going to help me do whatever I need to do, I'm not going to learn it. That's why relevancy is the first one here, and why we sort of cap it off with being self-motivated. So let's take a closer look at each of these. So the first is relevancy. And each of these is framed of how the learner is going to consume the information. So for example, relevant. Is the content something that the learner should or needs to know in the context of their life, job, or situation? Is it going to help them do something that's relevant to where they are today? This is why developing education for your business can be so important, because you can be able to create situations where people come back to you. Maybe they learned from you 6 months ago about how they're going to create an email marketing campaign. Well, now they've got email marketing coming up. That's no longer relevant. Something else is. But you're able to make sure it's relevant to the context they're currently in. This can be important, too, in our world where people change jobs very rapidly. People aren't staying in jobs for 20, 30 years. The job context really changes the learning that they need. Think about a VP who's trying to become an SVP or a CEO. What they're going to need in that span of the time is really going to change. That's why relevancy is so important, making sure they understand why it's relevant today. The second is that it's learner-controlled. Now, it's an interesting situation, because right now, you're not in control. As a learner, you don't have control over how fast I'm talking, whether the slide is moving with me, whether I'm moving around in the way that you would like me to. You're not in control yet. But that's what we want. We want you to be in control. And so the learner needs to have control of how they're getting the experience and the lesson. For example, is it a self-directed course? Are they able to take the actions at the speed that they want? Again, a few minutes ago, I was talking about how all learners are different. This is key. Education is key in the fact that it has to be learner-controlled. The third is based on prior experience. Are they able to bring up things to help them understand the content? This is really where use cases and examples and providing them context is going to help them think about, oh, that's right. The last time I tried to create an email marketing campaign, it failed. That was my prior experience. That's why I'm here today. This is why talking to your learner like they are a learner and that you're invested in them helps them be able to bring into the learning experience. It needs to be timely. This, of course, is important in anything that we do, but having timely information in a timely manner. Can they learn it in the time that they need? One of the things that we talk a lot about on our team is how quickly someone can achieve a certification. 4 hours worth of content, 60-question exam, as well as a practical exercise. That's not necessarily timely. It takes a while. But it's timely in the sense that it's making sure it's getting applied in the time that they need. If they need a new job, we're giving them the tools in which they can achieve that. Then it needs to be scenario or case-based. This is really interesting because when we talk about case-based learning, or we talk about scenario-based learning, we immediately go to, oh, I have to build out a use case from 4 different companies and 6 different examples, and it's going to take me a lot of time. That's not the right way to think about it. Scenario or case-based can be anything. It can be best practices. It can be an example you and your company had just this week. It can be small, it can be large. Anything where they can start to see how it can be applied. Even a sentence or two at the beginning of an educational experience is important. How can this be applied to my business? I started this presentation not with, oh yeah, education is important, but this is how education helps HubSpot and HubSpot Academy today, because you can start to see how it can be applied. And the last, it's self-motivated. Does this encourage the learner to continue learning? One of the most important things today is that we realize that the education we received in our young adulthood is probably out of date now. That's crazy. We need to continue learning. And so something that is self-motivated, where they learned something, they did it, they achieved results, and now they keep coming back for more. So what does this look like? We're going to create a learning experience here real quick. You're going to see some screenshots of education that currently exists today in HubSpot Academy. I encourage you to take a look at it. But we're going to go through the framework we use for creating education. It's 3 parts, very simple. Why, how, what. This is something that Simon Sinek talks a lot about, a why, how, what framework for how a business grows. But it can be just as easily applied to education. The first is the why. the outcome objective that is expected from the learner. What are they expecting to get out of this education? Why simply do they care? Why do they care about what's going on? Why do they care about this education? So an example here would be understanding the importance of email marketing. We're starting to help them understand that, well, email marketing is important. I need to understand the basics of it so that I can do email marketing. The second piece is the how. That's the best practice piece. That's the what is actually inside that's going to help you do something. So for example, how are they going to approach being able to achieve this? How are they actually going to take the outcome and then apply it? This can be really important too for you as an expert in whatever your business does, because you probably know this really well and you can help someone else understand it. The last is the what. What are the steps that they are taking? How and what can be easily confused. How you're going to do something is not the steps in which you're taking to achieve it. How can be understanding the best practices of building an effective email marketing campaign or an email marketing strategy. But the what is the steps you're going to take. How you're going to create a subject line. How you're going to build the copy of your email. How you're going to achieve that. So this is an example of a learning objective. A learning objective is key for adult learners, and it's key to help them understand what they're about to do. For example, the learner will be able to describe the importance of email marketing and distinguish what makes an inbound email marketing campaign or strategy. The learner knows exactly what they're meant to walk away with once they're done with this educational experience. One of the most important things that you can do is show them this. This isn't something that you should hide. I'm going to teach you something, but I'm not going to tell you what you're going to get out of it. Well, how do I know it's going to help me? How do I know that I've achieved? So setting a learning objective is important because it's going to help you structure your educational experience, and it's going to help the learner know that they've achieved something. Providing a why is what provides the validation for the learner to see the value and the importance in the content that you're presenting. When you go out to put an educational experience out there, you want to validate the learner. Help them understand that there is importance in what you're about to teach them, and the learning objective, providing that why, is how you get there. So what does this look like in practice? How do you go about creating an educational asset on whatever you're looking to educate on? You could be looking to educate on how to buy a house. You could be building education on how to run an email marketing strategy. Whatever it is that you're hoping to help someone else understand, you can use this following framework. So it's called the ADDIE framework. It's very commonly used in instructional design as well as higher ed, but it's something that is just as applicable to digital marketing and making sure the educational assets you're putting out there are going to help someone. The best thing about the ADDIE framework, it's really a tool to help you, because you have goals of helping that learner learn something, but it's hard to go back and get all of those pieces together and know that you're helping them achieve that. So that's why we use the ADDIE framework. It's a framework used, again, by instructional designers and learning professionals to develop education focused on the learning objective. We're going to go through each step of the ADDIE framework, and the most important thing to remember with ADDIE is that it's always continuous. When you put an educational asset out there, it's not complete. You're going to continue to evaluate and improve it over time because learning is always improving. So the first is analysis. You're going to identify an area that you can attract, engage, and delight. You're going to identify how that education is going to increase force in your business. You're then going to do some research on the audience. Who's your learner persona? This can be very in tune with your current buyer personas. Who are you actually trying to educate? Then you're going to identify the delivery. Is it live training? Is it in person? Is it going to be a workbook on your website? Is it going to be something in which they're doing online or in person? And then, of course, select a passionate, empathetic employee to create that education. Who is the learner going to resonate with? This is really important in a global economy and a global market where whoever someone's learning from, they need to resonate with. They need to understand that that person's there to help them. The next is design. You're going to go through and actually design those objectives. You can use the learning objective framework. The learner will be able to do what? What is the action that they're going to take? And then you can use that why, how, what framework to start to break that down. If the learner is going to be able to distinguish an inbound email marketing strategy, what do they need to know? Why do they care? How are they going to do that? And what are the steps that they're going to take? You're then going to identify learners to test with. One of the most important things about learning is that we got to get it out there, we got to get feedback and continue moving. Because learning doesn't happen in a vacuum. One learner is going to see it one way, the other one is going to see it another way. Then you're going to develop it. You're actually going to develop the education, whether that's through video, whether that's getting a presenter and inviting people to a live in-person training, whether that's on demand, a worksheet, whatever it may be, you're actually going to develop it, and you're going to set up feedback mechanisms. You're going to review it, and then you're going to get it out there. You're going to run a test. You're going to see how it performs and see which learners are actually achieving those goals. And then you're going to implement it. You're going to notify learners that it's available, deliver the education, and more importantly, deliver the assessment. How do they know that they've achieved something? Maybe you follow up with them. Maybe you ask them to submit back an example of the work they've done. Or maybe you're working one-on-one with them, and they can tell you directly whether or not they achieved the ROI that they were hoping for. And then evaluate. Continue to evaluate in the assessment and feedback forms. Based on the evaluation, you're going to repeat this process. You're going to go back to analysis, see how it's performing, and see what you need to tweak. Some examples of types of education that I encourage you to try is on-demand video education. You heard Marcus talk about that for an hour this morning. Video is powerful. When you pair it with education, it can really take your business very far. Live training via webinars is another easy example that you can get started with tomorrow, and in-person training. If this is something where the customers that you're working with or future customers you hope to work with want to be able to engage with you in person, then investing in that and having that in-person training. Always, of course, encourage social promotion. Here's some examples on folks that have taken our inbound marketing certification, our inbound cert. Make sure it's getting out there. Because with the social promotion, that's how your customers become your best marketers. You've helped them learn something, and they're now telling other people that they've learned something from you, and they're growing your business alongside of you. Just to wrap us up here really quick is some additional resources. If you haven't engaged with HubSpot Academy content, I highly encourage that you do. Take our inbound certification and really start to pay attention to what we walked through today. You can start to diagnose how we create our education. What's the why? What's the what? What's the how? You can start to be like, oh, I see, Courtney. I see how it breaks down. You can explore the other Academy education. You can sign up for our user blog, engage with on HubSpot community. But more importantly, that is my email address. If you have questions, concerns, you want to send me an educational asset that you're working on for your customers, or you're struggling with a learning objective for them, send it to me. I'd be happy to help. Thank you for being an awesome audience, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.